And you were telling me before about going into work and having visible injuries. Did you have any support at work? Were the police involved? Is there anything that you could tell us about that?
No support at work whatsoever. And at one point during the relationship, I did go to the police, and I thought I'm going to go to them. I'm going to tell them what's happening, and I went, and they laughed at me. And they said,
What
"Oh,
did you
come
actually
on,
go in
mate."
there? Did you
Yeah,
go in there?
I went into the station physically and said to them, my wife is abusing me physically, and they laughed at me and told me to get out. And I was kind of shocked and didn't know what to do, so I got out and I just left. Um, and they basically said to me, they basically implied that because of how big I am, there's no way that it could be happening.
Hmm.
And that was kind of a bad, turning point where you kind of then feel like, well, there is no hope. There's no help. There's no hope. What am I meant to do? No one's actually going to help me. What she's doing is illegal, obviously, but the police don't care because I'm a guy. And she would always do that as well. She would always play on that and be like, if you go to the police, they'll just think it's you. I'll tell them it was you. They'll laugh at you. People will think you're a loser. Like, all kind of stuff like that.
So, what advice would you give your former self looking back at that with regards to the police? Would you approach things differently? Would you have not gone? What advice would you give yourself
I
or
think,
anyone else?
yeah, I think it's evidence. Have evidence. Have text messages, pictures, recordings, voice recordings. If you have like video cameras in your house, like nanny cams or whatever, if you can take anything like that and then go and say, look, I actually have the evidence right here of what's happened. So I don't know if you watched that show that My Wife, My Abuser that was on Channel 5 and then Netflix,
No, I
where
haven't seen it.
he was abused by his wife for 20 years. And it's a documentary, a
Hmm.
guy in the UK. And 20 years, and he had all the nanny cam footage of all the stuff that had happened. And she
Hmm.
did get arrested for that, and she went to jail for I think 4 years or 4 or 6 years, but she was released after a year and a bit um, recently because of jail overcrowding. And you know, I'm just thinking you have 20 years worth of video evidence, and that was enough to get it done. So if you don't have stuff like that, they're not going to help you. So make sure you have evidence, make sure you have something at least.
Do you know, thinking about that now, I was very close to doing the same thing at home. I'd even bought a bunch of little spy cams off Amazon. This was before cameras were so easily available. Now you can buy them everywhere, right?
Yeah,
High quality cameras. The ones that I had were so terrible and so useless that, the picture was really grainy and everything like that. But, they were like the little round ones that you could put up. And I actually
yeah,
bought a bunch of them because of exactly what you're saying. It's like people need to see this and people need to, this needs to be recorded so there's proof and evidence of this happening, right? And because they were so, what's the word? They were so clunky at the time. They weren't reliable. In the end, I just thought, oh, do you know what? I just won't bother. And I really wish I'd made more of an effort to get them going or to set them up and things like that, because, she'll find them now in the house. If she went through my drawers, she'll find a bunch of little security cameras that are there. And I got that for my own protection, but like I said, I never got them set up.
yeah,
So my advice would be 100%, yeah, set yourself up with some security cameras, even if they're the nanny cams, the hidden cameras and things like that. Make sure you cover yourself, record everything to all the men that are out there. My other bit of advice is you can do this as well, is to file the reports online, go onto the police websites and start filing reports quietly, because then there's a paper trail and there's a record of what's going on. So when the false allegations do come, you've already got that evidence, because obviously one of the things they'll say is when they look at the police reports in court, they say, oh, well, she's made 5 reports and you've made none. Why have you not made any? So, well, because I didn't make any because I didn't want her to get in trouble over the years. So you keep quiet. And then obviously, once you decide to try and exit the relationship, that's when her police reports will start to appear. Do you know what I mean?